Everybody, this is already your welcome to week 6 video. The summer is moving right along. We are already in not even the very beginning of July. So this is just going to be short today. First, take your weekly moment of reflection. How did things go for you this week? Are there any changes you can make to make your weeks go better as we go forward? Were you ready for lab? Did you watch the videos in time to think through the assignments? Were you rushing at the end of the week? I know there was a holiday this week, which might have made things harder or easier, depending on what you were doing. Just take a moment to think about how things went for you. Looking forward toward this week, you'll see we've got some content on regression, trying to understand better the hypothesis tests and confidence intervals that are related to regression. So that is a big piece of what you're doing this week. And then you're going to be thinking about missing data in a way that is conceptually deeper than what we did when we were just starting cleaning data. Although we're going to do the mechanics of cleaning data as well, right? So the concepts and also the mechanics, the actual code at this point. And then the last part of your assignment this week is on a set of tutorials that I'm calling useful skills. So the first thing I want you to see about that is that you only have to choose one of those modules to do. There are 5 of them listed, but this week you only have to do one. That set of 5 options will appear in future weeks, and you'll have a chance to choose another one and probably another one after that. So you can do as many of these as you want, but this week you're only required to do one, right? So I'm not assigning you 5 different modules. So these are modules on various topics that are extensions of the material we're working on, but that I think are useful. Okay, these are not statistical concepts, but rather data science skills. And so there are things that might be useful to you depending on what projects you see in the future or what kind of environment you find yourself working in or doing research in or taking classes in the future. These are, for the most part, tutorials, I think all of them actually, tutorials developed by QAI interns, and I consider them all works in progress, which means that I think they'll be very useful for you. I also think that it'll be useful for us to continue to get your feedback. So I hope that part of what you do is let us know where things are not explained well enough, where you got stuck on such and such. These are very much works in progress on which we're hoping to get your feedback. The other piece of this is then that the TAs and I will support everything you're doing, but depending on what you're trying to do, we may be your partners in figuring it out rather than the all-knowing people who solve every problem, right? So if you are deep into a package that you're working with a TA who hasn't spent a lot of time on that particular useful skill, you may find that that TA or even I, right, is working with you to figure it out as opposed to magically, secretly knowing the answer. Also, all the assignment questions related to these useful skill tutorials are very open-ended, right, which means depending on what you're doing, we don't have solution code just right in front of us as you're doing it. We're trying to figure it out along with you. But that said, some of these skills can be, possibly the most applicable thing you learn because maybe what you're going to do from here on I don't know, is make ggplots, which is one of the options, and that's a very popular thing to do. So I encourage you to pay attention. In particular, if you're a data science major, some of the skills listed here are things that we hear employers ask of data science majors. So it's a good chance to figure out what is SQL, what is Git, all these things are important for somebody who's going to call themselves a data scientist. So that's what I wanted you to know going into this week. I'm not going to go through every graphics of the day this time because there's something specific I want to focus on. And I've mentioned it in passing before, which is the idea that axes should go to 0. Now, instead of just trying to say that a million times to you in this video, I'm going to point you toward the graphic of the day link that Helen happened to choose for today, which is Tuesday, July 5th. So go look at the Tuesday, July 5th graphics of the day sheet. There is a link posted there to an article about this idea that if axes don't go to 0, it can be misleading. And then also look at the page that this video was on, right? Scroll down the page and take a look at the question and the graphical answer there, which is intended to show you, again, illustrating this idea of what can happen. And the basic idea is that the choices you make about the limits of your axes determine how people might interpret your plot. And there's not always one best way to do it, but rather, like every decision you make about a graphic, you, the graphic maker, are influencing and deciding what people are going to think they learn from that, right? Data is not as objective as perhaps some people might think, but rather the person preparing the data has control over how the results are perceived. So please do take a look at that. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in office hours this week and answering your questions. Have a great week.